Okay, in this lesson, we're going to talk about facial features. I'm going to take you guys over on how to refine how the actual structure of the eye works, and show you how this most complicated part on the face, which is this T-zone, how the eye fits inside the eye socket, and then also the structure on the nose, and then also how that relates to the ear. And so we're gonna talk, spend a little more time zooming onto the face and talk about those, those features. So, okay, so first of all, here's the forehead that protrudes out, and they're gonna step back in. Get a sense of where this other corner of the eyebrow. This whole plane right here is a down plane, and from that point on, this is our side of our forehead. And also, mentioned before, well, this is the larger plane, the front and the side, and we actually had the corner planes right here. Different plane have different values, so I'm going to push this a little bit darker. Push that a little bit darker. Okay. And then here is the center line goes through our face, and here is the keystone somewhere in this area. Well, from the reference, you can see the nose gonna kicks in, the keystone gonna kicks in, and it's gonna come forward like this. Depends how much the head turn, how much 3/4 view you see. This V shape keystones, if we look at a front view, it looks like what I was saying. V shape, it looks like this. And then here is this part is your eyebrow line right here. And then this is from here, that's the arch goes in, and then your eyeball fits in here. Well, it depends on how much 3/4 view, because if it turns a lot like what the reference shows, that V can become more of a kind of parallel lines like this. And then the bottom of the nose, just think of it. You can think of a triangle. Make sure this has to take more, kind of further out more, because that has to line up, again, somewhat where our tear dot is. And remember, the tear dot sits about 45 degrees. Here's the eyebrow line. Where the eyebrow intersect the center line, if we draw a 45-degree line down to our eye line, that's where the tear dot, which also where the beginning of our eye is gonna be. But on this side and this side, can see it's overlap behind the bridge of nose. And so here, this is the outer curve, and then from here, we also gonna draw a line from this point also down to the eye lines right here. That's where basically the inner socket, the eye socket kind of curves in like this. And so if I do this, if you curve, see when I get to the edges, you notice that's when the broad ridge and the silhouette kind of curves in like that. This side is I should do this. What happened to the side, this is not gonna be it's not gonna be a 90 degree, more realistically, I'm just gonna lift up a little bit like that. lift up. And what happens is your cheekbones, your greater cheekbone is going to wrap around from the side, kind of interlock up to the side, and then swing down to a bottom of your nose. It can swing to the corner of the lips, or it can kind of come down to the, to the chin. But the idea is it's going to wrap around to the side. The base of the nose is going to continue, is going to become part of our side of the keystone that goes into this arch right here. And this is going to get darker because, like I said earlier, this is going to turn, that form going to turns down. That's the outside curve that goes around like this. So definitely you can see what we're building this block that has this whole thing right here. It's pretty much just the down plane of our forehead. So I'm creating this socket so my eyeball can fit in right inside this hole. So we got the keystone facing down, it's a down plane facing down, and it's going to kicks out to the bridge of our nose, and you can also see from the reference, you can see the shadow step back and it kicks forward like this, and step back again into our big ball of a nose right here, and you can see that kind of also sits back again to the side and running forward to the side of the ball of the nose, and coming down here is a down plane. So we got this diamond shape, or like the coffin shape, I call it, right on the top, and you got this ball of the nose to kind of insert into it. We can probably do this. And drawing through, it'll take you to the wing of the nose. You got from the ball of nose side, from the ball of the wing side of the wing. Instead of drawing this round wing, I tend to like to straighten this a little bit, kind of just do that. Just feels a little more, give a more solid look. So you can see the shadows kind of splits at the bottom just a little bit, and before you kick into the nostril. And if you look very carefully, you're gonna see the nostril. When we get to the outside wing, it actually kind of overlap the nostril like this. So you can see kind of overlap and then go over the wing of the nose. So that feel like it helped to show the wing kind of wrap around, then create that hole. And so that would be true on the profile too. See, the things a lot of times, I might see, people draw their nose like that. Looks kind of cartoonish and doesn't quite give a sense of volume and interlocking idea of the structures. And the profile too, I think, people draw profile and the wing and the nostril like this. See how flat that look? So in this case, you can see, even when we draw in profile, do that. Have the nostril overlaps, the base of the nose, and then go up to the wing. Versus, drawing flat like this. Okay. Even worse to put the nostril right in the middle of the middle of the nose. You don't want to do that. Okay. That way, besides it shows the wing of the nose. It's in front of the ball of the nose. Also, give it a sense of gestures. It has a direction to it. Because the next part you're probably going to see, and we can even wrap this underneath, Because what you're going to be looking at next is the protrusion of your lips. So you're going to be looking this way, and then it's going to push out, and then the lip's going to push out. Sometimes you get cat shadow comes below like this. So you're going to look back, swing forward, and swing back again. V shape shadow below the ball of the nose. To complete this ball, you might gonna kick out the contour a little bit and goes down to the bottom like this. Also, this is gonna cave in and it's gonna kick out to of that bridge of the nose, and then drop down and meet the ball of the nose. So you got concave, convex, come down, and you're gonna convex again. And then this is going to go into your philtrum. The side plane of a nose, which we note here is the base of a nose, right here, I tend to like to give a little roundness to it, like that. Again, all this is going to be down plane. I'm going to darken my corner a little bit of the nose. And you can see, well, in this case, the light source is this way. So the highlight going to catch you at the corner. I probably make this a little too dark and feel like shadow, but it's fine just for demonstration purpose. Again, highlight is going to be sits in that corner. Now everywhere else has to be darker than that. I'm going to take my red and pushing into that. Normally, the halftone, which is the orange part, the halftone is come right before the shadows. In this case, I was going to put it right here, but then I look at the reference, notice that's where the highlight is, so I can't put it there. Otherwise, like I said, if here's the, here is this a sphere, here's our, here's my shadow, which usually I use the brown. And then my highlight going to be right here. And what I'll do is I'll take my halftone color. In this case, it's kind of orange color. I'll push. It's going to be right in front of that. I'll push towards my, toward my highlight. Like that. And then might take my black, my darkest dark, just to give some detail, or if I need to outline to reshape my form, then I'll do that. Okay. But that means so what that means, the highlight sits at the corner, halftone, core shadow sits at the corner, and drop down to the shadows. And once there's a shadow, there is cast shadows. Cast shadow begins at the end of the core shadow. So cast shadow begins right here, and you're gonna have the cast shadow comes right after that. And cast shadow has a hard edge, core shadows has a soft edge. So what did that means every soft edge, every core shadow going to enter the cast shadow. That means every soft edge is going to finish off a hard edge. So if I find the places, I'll show you guys. Well, for example, yeah, if I have more definite places, I'll show you guys. But anyway, let's go back to our features. You can see from the reference, you got this big sweeping curve that swings down, going toward our cheekbone. And definitely you can see our cheekbone sits right about this degrees right here. Almost like, looks like a little, claw that kind of grab onto the side of the face that's kind of doing this type of thing. And so what's on this side, you can see it right here like this. That's our cheekbones. Corner of a cheekbone. This guy right here. All right. Front plane. The cheekbone has front, and also has the side plane. Front, side, front, and goes to the side. Goes towards your nose. Right. See, the bottom of the cheekbone lines out to the bottom of the nose. And then it's going to swing towards the side, and it's going to fuse into your ear. So that zygomatic arch is going to continue swing back over to your, just that going to swing that way. We're going to start seeing that hockey mask I talk about on our first lesson. You're going to start seeing that this is going to be a one plane, and everything's going to, if you see the mask, the ear will sit in the back. The ear Again, line sits between the eyes and the nose. Okay, so okay, let's look at the eyes. I guess what you guys would like to know how to draw it correctly in those eyes. Well, first of all, if we look at the front view of the eyes, we got the eyeball. I guess I'll draw it. I'll draw it here. So let's see. We look at the front view, and here's the eyeball. Here's the iris, and here's the pupil. Okay, the pupil is the darkest, and then here's the iris. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Here tear dot runs right about where the center of eyes is. So if you tear dot it's a little U shape like this. Okay, I'm gonna make this very graphic because it's really hard. Even if you're stand right in front of the model, it's still really hard to see how does the eyelid meets to a tear dot and meets to the outside. How does it meet outside of the eyes? So I'm going to break down this very graphically so you can see how it works. And so we have inner rim, which gonna basically here's a tear dot, and it's gonna go wrap over, and it's gonna be outside like this. I'm gonna do it one more time, and you're gonna go swing like this, okay? And then you're gonna have a repeated shape, repeated rim like this. I'm gonna do it again. At this time, just make them connect. It's fine. Lines, I need to make sure they connect both lateral and internally. Okay, because this whole portion right here is the down planes of our upper eyelid. So that actually is going to be in shadow like this. Okay, so your eyeball sits right over the eyelid going to sit over like this. Eye basically is a ball shape, so you have it's darker on this side, darker on this side. See how this is the down plane of upper eyelid? And then we have the eyeball, and then we have a top plane of lower eyelid, and then we have a down plane of a lower eyelid. The down plane lower eyelid is probably going to be away from the light, so I'm going to darken this. And then just reinforce the contrast a little bit by making the side a little bit darker. Earlier I say the pupil is the darkest, so I'm going to blast this really strong. And usually there is a highlight. If a light sources are above, you get a highlight. Sits right below, right next to the darkest pupil, right below the cast shadow from the upper eyelid. Will be somewhere right in this area. So I'm going to outline that just so I don't need to come back and erase afterward. And then you got the gradations. The lower portion, the eyes are reflected. The lower portion is going to receive some reflected light down from the bottom, and if it's skin, you're probably going to receive some orange light from below. So I'm going to just use my orange and just paint that below. Probably could be even lighter, but it's alright. So here, you will get a deeper crease from this line right here, this guy right here. That's your bone right here, right? And that's what this portion is. And you can see sometimes you'll get the shadows. From my last lesson, the likeness, I think can't remember the first portrait or second portrait I did, you will see there's a shadow that's doing this right here. Okay. Also, since the ball, it's a round idea, the eyeball is a round idea, so the tear dot's gonna be kind of red, it's just the muscle fills in, and here it's gonna be a little bit darker, and here it's gonna be a little bit darker. And earlier I said this is the downplaying of our upper eyelid, and there will be a cast shadow sits below that. Like this. So as you can see, now I can basically kind of render out this, this eyeball by start off that really graphic idea of a two repeated, almost looks like a leaf, shape of a leaf. But this still not exact, still not, perfect, because my eyelid is a little bit too rounded. There's an apex to it. The apex will be lined up this directions. That means on upper eyelid, this part is going to sit out a little bit higher. It's actually going to be more like this. And then the lower eyelid is going to kick out the other directions. You're going to be like this. So you got this diagonal relationships. Okay. So let's look at the reference. And you can see here's our eye line goes across like this. So here's my tear dot. Well, the other thing I want to go back, so I'm going to talk about three-quarter view. The upper eyelid, think about three planes. You have center plane and both two corner plane. 1, 2, 3. The lower eyelid, think about two plane. You have one longer one and one shorter one. So you have 1 and 2. So when the eye turns three-quarter like this, right? So we have to consider how much do we see? Well, this guy has very thin eyelids, so that might be a little, tricky to show. But the point is, if you look at him, here's our tear dot right here. You're gonna see first thing we need. Is to basically just kind of sculpt out the shape that his eye is like. He has this kind of angled down upper eyelid. What that is, is this portion right here. And also very important, since we're looking at three-quarter from this way, there is an inner eyelid that you have to show. right, let's say right here, okay? I'm going to shade it in. So this is actually the inner downplane upper eyelid. Basically, imagine you're looking at this portion right here, this thickness right here. And this thickness is going to overlap, because we're looking from this way, and that's going to overlap by the outside eyelid like this. Right? So again, back to that paper strip idea I use for, for this portion. You remember, and again, go back to my first lesson, the keystone right here. So you take a paper strip and you flipped it, right? You flipped it like that. See how useful that shape, that you can apply that to many, many places, on human body. So again, kind of flip that, okay? And next thing I'll do is I'll look at how much Y next to the tear dot, and it looks like the iris is about right here. And I don't like to just draw around the iris, and I like to kind of chisel. The reason why, because in this case, the eye is looking this way, right? So if I'm just drawing crudely a sphere, like a round eyeball, or in this case iris, if I just can draw a round iris like this, it might look like this eye is looking straight towards the viewer, which in this case, it's not. It's looking up to the right. So what happens is that this ellipse is going to get shallower and shallower when we get to when the head turning away from us, and the pupil is going to be more and more step away from the center of the iris, right? So it's a little more safer for me to, and the same thing if you're looking up, looking down. So it's safer for me to, again, to sculpt this instead just do it quickly. So I know the pupil has to be, even though it's hard to see from reference, it has to be close to this edge. And you can also see from the reference, you got the eyelid is going to kind of overlap right here. And I kind of love that. I feel like it can give me that wraparound kind of feel of that, the eyelid wrap around over to the other side of the eyeball. Like I said, the eyeball going to sit in here. A little hard to see on him because again, he has a really thin eyelid. Lower eyelid. Lower eyelid, it's going to wrap around the eyeball. It's going to actually kind of indicate the roundness of an eyeball. It's going to sit within the upper eyelid. You can see it's going to kick out really quick. Again, also because if you're looking from the 3/4, it's going to kick out. That's going to kick out really quick. Look, I have a little slightly drop. Again, I need that axis, right? So I need that one more time, and to indicate the thickness, the top plane of the lower eyelid. And then you see, if you look carefully, my red kind of gets a little dirty. And let me clean this up a little bit. You can see. Make sure, be aware of the little nuance about the detail you draw. Again, everything should be a little bit different. It's thinner here, and it's wider when it comes towards us, right? Just to think of like aerial perspective, like you draw a pathway, the road that close to us will be wider and goes away from us, or a water streams, it goes away from us will be thinner and close to us will be thicker. Right. So I have the upper top plane of a lower eyelid, then I can put down a tone for my down plane of my lower eyelid. One plane, right? Two plane. Third plane, can't see it. This is what? The outside is right here. That's our third plane. Our first plane. Well, actually, the third plane should be a lot, right? Because we're looking on this from the side. So actually, the first plane will be only about this much. That's first plane, and this is going to be our third plane. Right here, all this is going to be third plane. That's first plane. Then the second plane is tucked over. You can't quite see. Okay. So right now that has to be dark because that's the inner plane of the upper eyelid. Earlier I said you can definitely see on the reference. You see the cast shadow cast over the eyeball. Comes cast over like this. And when you do that, it start looking a little more mysterious and looks a little more lifelike. I need the gradations. Punch out some of the white. Here's the top plane of the top plane of the lower eyelid. The other thing I also talked about is the lower eyelid that sits on the face. So just as I was saying, there's two planes. There's this plane here, and then there's another plane goes up into the tear dot. So this actually sits on this face right here. Sits on the cheekbones. Okay. The other eyes, the eyelid is gonna turn really quickly. And now I'm gonna look at the other full reference. Probably can see it better for that case. So I'm gonna switch to another reference. Okay, so this reference, you can see that further eyes a little bit better. He has, to show the wrap actions around the eyeball. So let me quickly block this in. Okay. So I need to indicate where my eyeball is. So I need to draw another diagonal line, right? That's where the right above the upper eyelid, you can see the brown makeup kind of fades up like this, and that's what I was talking about earlier. And then you get this, this plane right here that goes up, and this goes to the side of the forehead. Right? So my eyeball is going to sits right here. That's a lower eyelid. Here is the keystone. Here is the other keystone. Right, see how that paper wrapping, not paper, paper strip wrapping idea coming in like this. Yeah, and then you can see here it's gonna go right to the nose. When you draw a woman, you don't want a big, draw it too round over the tip of the nose. It looks like she has a pretty narrow nose. Narrow tip of the nose. Got it kicked back. Yeah, I want to make sure that feel that wrap around the eyeball. Probably even kick this in a little bit more. Make it even narrower. Okay. So here, this side, again, take this and wrap over to the other side. My eyeball is going to be right here. Make sure they line up this side. Also this side. Very important. Wrap around. I'll tell you what I like to do, like right here at the beginning of eyebrow, since that's gonna flow right to our keystone. So right here at the edge, I tend to like to do it this way, like that. This shape pointing this way, see this way, so I feel like it goes into our, it flow right into our nose. Okay, so three-quarter view, you're gonna see some parallel lines relationship. Well, first of all, it's very obvious it's gonna be right here. Here, so 1, 2, this is where we find the tear dot, and you're gonna get that outer eyelid. So see how these parallel relationship, make sure you get that. Again, this is the inner eyelid. You can see it. Make it thicker, it's fine. Just reinforce the idea of what you're seeing through this way. And then you're just gonna wrap over, like the last drawings. Then she got this really strong eyelashes that kind of just turn everything into this black angular shape, like this. Look at how much white you see. That's where drawing the iris. I like to chisel again. She's looking this way. The darkest pupil and the gradations. Okay. And then since light source on this side, so the lower eyelid, again, I'm going to take this slow. I'm going to show you. It kind of wraps up, and so show that top plane of lower eyelid, and below that we can just paint darker. But again, I need thicker here and taper over towards the tear dot. Okay, it sits on the face. The other side, like you can see, is gonna wrap around really quickly. And you also got a thickness on the other side, on this side. Hopefully you guys can see this again. going to exaggerate it. Here's again the paper flip idea. You see this portion, which is looking this way. You got the inner upper eyelid. Now we're looking from this directions. The eyelid is going to tuck in really quickly like this. You'll get a sense of where that ball. This is this part right here. Right, all this kind of tucks in, all this kind of tucks in. And in this case, you have more of the white on this side, less on this side. And that's where the iris is going to be. The darkest pupil, gradations, cast shadow, cast shadow on this side. And see how quickly that tucks over. Like in this view, we can see, like the last drawing, we can see the plane number 1, right? And the plane number 2, like, I think maybe number 3, I forgot what number it was. Anyways, a lot on this this plane right here, the outside plane right here. But if you look at this guy right here, you might even see, well, in this case, this edge right here, this is actually the third plane. So you can see this plane here, and this plane here. But on this eyes, all you see just 1 and 2. Because really quickly, that third plane is already on the other, facing the other side. I still want to show the top plane of my lower eyelid. Wrap around the eyeball, lift out really quickly. Thinner, wider towards us. Well, it might be a little hard for you guys to see, so I'm going to outline a little bit harder, but you don't do this when you, like in your drawing, because it's not going to look good. Because you just want to show from the camera so you can see it better. Here, thicker here and taper towards the outside. The eyelid going to tuck back, okay? So go this way. The eyelid go out, back in. The eyeball, the top eyelid kick out. The lower eyelid kick back in. Same thing, you got that diamond shape right here. Cover the eyes, because you're looking at drawing a 3/4 view. You're probably going to cover part of the the tear dot. Corner, well, not quite corner. There's a lower corner playing out the ball of the nose, and then the wing, and then kick out to the wing. Core shadow, soft edge ends to a hard edge. Right in here, you can also get a sense of, sometimes I imagine a kidney bean. If you guys know what kidney bean is, it looks like this. And so if you can imagine a kidney bean right here, if you draw a few times, loop around. See how it takes you to that cheekbones. And she kind of digs in. But then we need to get a sense of the muzzle. So when I draw through, you notice this actually is going to kick back out a little bit. And it goes to the chin. That's going to roughly where the lip's going to sit. Look, here's our center line on the face. Okay, but I keep mentioning the lips has a teeth underneath, so there's a barrel. This tip of the lips right here is going to rise in front of the center of the face, actually. So we can't just put the center of the lips right here on that center line. We have to imagine it's going to protrude forward a little bit, and she doesn't have a strong push, so it can just be subtle. But as long as don't put it around this line, we're going to actually put it a little bit, brings out just a little bit and kick it back, and put the center of the lips about right here instead right that line. Okay, right on that line. Okay. The further side of the corner of the lips, I know in the straight view proportion, I say the corner of the lips line out the center of the eyes. Okay, but a lot of time, actually, when you're looking at a 3/4 view, that corner actually line out more closer to the tear dot actually than the center of the eyes. And then you can look at the reference US and you'll see that too. So here's the tear dot, and I'm gonna put the corner of the lips right here. The other one I can probably put it right about where the center of the eyes is. Okay, so now I got 3 points. I got my center, I got my side, so I'm good. All I need to do is just again draw that M like that. And since upper lip it's a down plane, so you're gonna probably be in shadow. So I'm gonna kind of shade it darker. And lower lips, you got the M, you got another M's on the bottom. The lower lips, she has a little bit thicker lower lips, so just make it a little bit thicker. You also got this plane here, middle, and you get semi-say eyelid. You got a lot on this plane. Okay, lower lip you can see it catch highlight because it's facing up, and that highlight. Let me darker this line a little bit. I need to make sure the upper lips dominate the lower lips. So is the eyelid too. Upper eyelid dominate lower eyelid. So that means if I draw, make sure like if the eyelid closed, the upper eyelid actually goes over the lower eyelid and it comes around. So in this case, you can see the upper lips over the lower lips, right at the corner, right at the end, right here. And that's a little bit of dimple. Just overlap the lower lips. Okay, so the lower lips looks like a water hose or this kind of capsule shape. You still got top, front, and the bottom. Okay, you can see the highlight sits on that corner. Where's my light source? Light source looks like maybe center off to the left a little bit. So here is my corner. That's going to be where my highlight. And I like to at the corner of lips, I like to hook up a little bit. So just give a little more, I guess, a little more cheerful expression versus if you curve down, looks like she's sad or she's unhappy. And this little shadow, dimple shadow below the lip, right above the protrusion of the chin. This is my favorite place to put the shadow and really help me to push out the lower lip. And then this gonna wrap around. The shadow gonna look like horseshoe shape in this area. It's gonna drop down and hook back up to the corner. of the lips. And then your chin, you can see in this case, it sits in right below and protrudes out. And again, when I do that, that means there's top plane, there's front plane, and there's light. When there's light hits, that corner also gonna catch highlights.